For so many of us, the secret garden is just pure comfort food for the soul. It's that cozy, nostalgic story we all remember, right? A magical, hidden world where nature and friendship can heal just about anything. It's a classic for a very good reason. Seriously, just for a second, what's the first image that pops in your head? Is it the little robin showing Mary the key? All those tangled, dead-looking roses bursting back to life? Or maybe just that feeling of finding a secret place that's all yours? Yeah, exactly. It's this beautiful tale of rebirth. It's about these lonely, forgotten kids who find a home in nature and, with each other. That's the story we all know. That's the one we love. But what if that's just the surface layer? What if the magic of the garden is actually hiding a much darker, way more complicated story? A story that's maybe less about healing and a whole lot more about control. Just think about it through that lens for a minute. What if the secret garden isn't a fairy tale about nature's wonder, but something much colder? Something like a brutal, step-by-step training manual for how to become a powerful Victorian man. Okay, so to even get there, we have to start with Colin Craven. The crying boy hidden away behind the curtains. The book tells us he's terribly sick, maybe even dying. But what if his illness wasn't actually physical at all? What if it was social? It all starts with the word they use for him in invalid. Today, we hear that and we just think a sick person. But let's just break the word apart for a second. Invalid. Literally, not valid. And for the Victorians, that's exactly what it meant. To be an invalid was to be powerless, illegitimate, not a real person in a way. So you've got this split screen happening. On one side, you have what everyone thinks is wrong with him. A week back, he's going to get a hunchback, he's doomed. But on the other side, you have the real problem, social invalidation. In a world that was absolutely obsessed with strong, powerful men, Colin was seen as weak, feminized, and basically not a true gentleman who could inherit his father's estate. And this is where it gets really strange. This leads to a huge contradiction. How can this kid, who is supposedly the weakest, most powerless person in the house, also be a complete and utter tyrant? I mean, the book goes out of its way to tell us how fragile he is. He's got this face, the color of ivory, these huge, dark eyes. His body seems almost see-through. He looks exactly like the label they've put on him, a frail, sick child who's about to break. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? He's the classic weakling. Weak body, probably a weak will to go with it. And then Mary Lennox walks in. And because she grew up in colonial India, she completely shatters that image. She doesn't see a weak little boy. No way. She looks at him and instantly recognizes a Raja, an Indian prince with absolute life or death power. She's seen it before. So you see the bizarre tension here? He has this incredible inherited power. He's the master of the whole estate, but at the same time, he's physically helpless, totally dependent on the very servants he screams at. He's basically a king and a prisoner, all in the same body, in the same room. So Colin's entire journey, his whole cure, isn't really about getting healthy in the way we think about it. It's about curing his social invalidity. It's about him forcing himself, almost violently, into the very rigid, very specific mold of a proper Victorian man. And what did that mold even look like? Well, the ideal Victorian gentleman had a checklist, and it was brutal. You had to be physically strong, athletic. You had to be socially dominant. Your honor, your entire worth, was seen as being rooted in the health and power of your male body. Colin, of course, was the absolute opposite of all of that. So what's the trigger? What finally pushes him over the edge? It's not magic. It's not a newfound love of nature. It's a social insult. When the old gardener, Ben Weatherstuff, looks at him and suggests his legs might be crooked, it's an attack on his physical legitimacy. And for a boy clinging to his Rajah status, that is the one thing he cannot stand. And this moment, it's the whole story in miniature. He doesn't just stand up. He forces Ben to look at him, to witness him. It's not a request, it's a command. He's demanding to be validated, to be seen as a legitimate source of power, not an invalid. And this is where you see this brilliant kind of hidden wordplay going on. When Dickon yells out that Colin's as straight as any lad in Yorkshire, he's not just talking about his spine. In Victorian slang, to be straight meant to be honorable, a real man, morally upright. So by physically standing up straight, Colin is reclaiming his social and his moral straightness. He's becoming valid again. Okay, so Colin has reclaimed his body, he's proven he's straight, but now he has to learn how to perform this new role. And where does he do that? Well, that's where the garden comes in. It's not just a pretty backdrop, it's his training ground.
Think about it. The garden is this perfect little controllable world. It's a safe space, a stage, where he can rehearse being the master he's supposed to become. It is his own little kingdom, and he is the king.
And he literally practices the language of power. I mean, this moment is so specific, it's actually uncomfortable. He turns to Mary, who is his direct link to the British Empire, and asks her for the exact words a colonial master would use to dismiss his subjects. "You have my permission to go." This isn't just a kid playing house. His commands, his little secret society, they're described as a direct replication of imperial maneuvers. The words used are masterful and remorseless. He's not learning to be a friend. He's learning how to rule an empire.
So let's pull all the way back. What is the miracle of the secret garden really about? Is it this magical story of a sick boy getting well? Or is it the much less magical story of a boy successfully being hammered into the shape society demanded?
And the final scene really gives us the answer. Validation is achieved. The cure is complete when he walks strongly and steadily right beside his father. He's no longer an invalid. He is a healthy, masculine young man, an equal, finally worthy of respect in the eyes of his father and the world. Which leaves us with this pretty dark, unsettling thought, doesn't it? Is the magic of the secret garden just a pretty name for the immense, crushing pressure to conform? Is Colin's happy ending really just the story of a unique spirit being broken down and rebuilt into the only shape that Victorian society would ever accept? Now that is a much darker secret than any key could ever unlock.